We now know court records show Allen's initial bond was set at $20 million. We have an online case summary showing past and upcoming court dates. We have a case number, so the public can now follow details and events in the case. Judge Benjamin Diener granted a request by 13 News to release all those details. And following our questions, the court also posted this notice, setting a date for a public hearing for the judge to determine whether important records in the case will remain under seal. All of that now appears on the state's public court website, where anyone can see it, instead of being hidden like it has been for the past 6 days since charges were first filed. What we still do not have is the detailed probable cause affidavit, which details why police believe Allen is responsible for the deaths of the 2 Delphi girls. That is supposed to be public, and it's still being kept under seal. That will be the focus of the public hearing coming up on November 22nd. The judge says keeping that important document under seal has created a difficult situation for the court. Today, Judge Diener copied 13 News on an email to state court administrators. He wrote, "Just so the world knows, the Carroll Circuit Court consists of me, Benjamin A. Diener, the judge. My court reporter was hired Friday and began Monday. My bailiff answers the phone, has no experience and no knowledge about legal process. Thankfully, there is a court administrator that has experience, but she has duties regarding Carroll Circuit and Carroll Superior Courts. That is it. So I am begging for some assistance to shield me, the court, from this storm, so that I, the court, can keep running the court."
This is a preview file. For example use only. This is a preview file. For example use only.
What is up to the transparency? There's some new blue out there. We're gonna be dropping some more blue today.
This is a preview file.
Tonight.
For example use only.
For 2,082 days, people in Delphi worried, waited, and kept hope for an arrest in the killings of Libby German and Abby Williams. The girls went missing from the Monon High Bridge on February 13th, 2017. Their bodies were found the next day, Valentine's Day. Over the years, more than 70,000 tips came in, but it wasn't until October 26th of 2022 that a task force of investigators felt they had their man. 2 days later, Richard M. Allen was charged with 2 counts, felony counts of murder.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day.
The prosecutor said the documents on the case would remain sealed temporarily, leaving unanswered how police connected Allen to those killings back in 2017. So 13 Investigates Bob Siegel began looking into Allen to see what could be learned about the man now charged in the Delphi murders.
Often when police announce the identity of an individual charged with murder, that person has a long criminal history. That is not the case with Richard Matthew Allen. Here's what we know. Allen is 50 years old. He also goes by Rick or Ricky. He's lived in Delphi for at least 16 years, and his home is less than 2 miles from the Monon High Bridge, where Abby and Libby disappeared before they were murdered. Records show the suspect previously lived in Greenwood and in Mexico, Indiana. We also know Allen is a licensed pharmacy technician. He received his Indiana license in 2018, and it's still active. Neighbors told 13 News Allen worked at the CVS in Delphi, and today CVS confirmed that for us. He has no criminal history, a few speeding tickets and a citation for not wearing a seatbelt, but that's it. State police told us Allen has entered a not guilty plea and he's being held at the White County Jail without bond.
The probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court.
The prosecutor says he asked a judge to keep the document under seal because the investigation is ongoing and investigators want more tips from the public.
It is surprising.
Novella Neediff spent
I
2
dare
decades as a public
say
defender and
that
now
at the
teaches
state
law at
level,
Indiana University. She says she's never heard of a prosecutor keeping a probable cause affidavit secret in such a high-profile case. She says releasing the information helps ensure due process for the defendant and allows the public to ask important questions. In this case, both of those things are in jeopardy because the case is essentially being kept secret. A hearing will be held to challenge that decision, but that could be weeks away.
Transparency. Couple things going over, a little recap here. This was made, God, I'd have to say right after. I mean, when the arrest of Richard Allen happened. So this was made a little bit over a year and almost like a year and a half ago, right?
Has it already been that long?
Well, because he was arrested, in November of 2022? It was right before the Idaho 4 case. So.
Well,
it was February 13th, 2017, the day before Valentine's Day, a day that would leave 2 families mourning, a community frightened, and investigators puzzled for years to come. It was on that cold Monday that 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German went to the Monon High Bridge in Delphi. The young teen girls had the day off from school. They were dropped off, then disappeared. A search would discover their tragic end the next day. Their bodies discovered in a wooded area not far from that bridge along the banks of Deer Creek. What we would all soon learn is that Libby, in those terrifying moments, captured evidence that would help police in the search for the killer. On February 15th, 2017, police released cell phone images from Libby's phone showing a suspect in the case coming across the bridge toward the girls. A week later, police released audio from Libby's phone.
As 13 News reported on the case, we spoke with Ronald Logan, the man who lives at the property where the girls were found.
Has this gotten to you? Has this played on your mind?
Yeah, the longer it goes, yes, it does. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure I fully comprehend what all's happened yet. 2 young kids playing, thinking they're having a wonderful day, Valentine's Day, and ends up in one of the largest tragedies in Carroll County history.
In your backyard?
In my backyard. Yeah, it's a big thought. Not a good one.
Turns out, the FBI was also talking to Logan. An agent at the time noted that Logan's voice was not inconsistent with that of the voice captured on German's phone. The FBI notes an interview with Logan's relative in which the relative tells the agent that Logan called them the morning of February 14th, 2017, and asked them to lie about where he had been the previous afternoon. That was before the bodies of the girls were found. 13 News was there as Logan's home was searched.
More than a dozen investigators worked for hours, searching Ron Logan's home, his garage, barns, and property. They are looking for clues to whether...
All right, so let's see. So the first thing I want to say about this, I stopped this pre-record that I made, like I said, over a year ago. We're going to turn over to Hector really quick because I want to point out, Ron Logan, there was a probable cause affidavit put together for Ron Logan back March 17th of 2017. And something that I've mentioned numerous times I want to really highlight is there was no mention in Ron Logan's probable cause about any bullet. And if it's part of the case, and they had it back then, they should have been taking Ron Logan's, is that something that they didn't want to release, to be able to search his guns and to see if it matched like they did with, Richard Allen. So take a look at this.
I'm going to say hi real quick, though.
I was going to bring you in right here. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I can't see your comments, but hi, long time. Also, today is a special day for those that don't know or didn't catch that. It's been 7 years since the murder of Abby and Libby, and they were just little girls, and this is all for them. And unfortunately, I think you agree with me, Lana, that their murder has kind of been brushed away and it's become all about something else at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I would agree that a lot is going on because I think of obviously I think it was a lot of sloppy work, but like you can't say it's because of somebody rushed to judgment here. It's been 7 years. But I think all that we're talking about right now is people that it shouldn't be about, people that have inserted themselves in such a horribly, the leaks with, that's going to be a big part of what's coming up now. None of this stuff should have happened. And
yeah, so the focus should go back to Abby and Libby, and at least for this moment, we should hold them in, our thoughts and prayers, because it's just a tragedy that we don't hear enough about their names. We hear a lot about everyone else, and now Gull, and it's really unfortunate here, but they're just young kids, and
yeah. So in this was, it said filed March 17th, 2017. But nowhere in here does it mention anything about the magic bullet.
Which is interesting because the person that wrote this up was Nicole, and Nicole had a hard-on for Ron Logan, just so you know. So it's very interesting to me that if they had anything more that would tie Logan to this crime, it would not be put in here. Because even after they came out with other reasons why it couldn't be Ron Logan, Nicole was steadfast in believing it still was.
Something I highlighted there, this is back in March of 2017. The FBI has established a database for the collection and organization of tips provided by the public in this case. So by March 17th, a search of the database revealed 15 tips in which citizens, both known and anonymous, attributed the crime to Logan for various reasons. That brings me to mention here, they were clearly going through like these tips. I noticed that wasn't in the probable cause for Richard Allen, that any tips were coming in saying the name Richard Allen. So I just thought that was something I wanted to point out.
And that might be because there were no tips coming in.
That's what I'm saying. There were no tips. That's what I'm saying. There were no tips coming in with his name. And in fact, the only thing that you could find is his own tip that said he was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His own little interview. Say, yeah, I came forward.
He went in, and for those who don't know, he went into the police station and said, yes, I was on the Monon High Bridge this day. This is what I was wearing. This is what I was doing. This is the time I was there. And they waited years.
Something else I want to show here is things that me and Miss Bela here have been working on in
What do you want to do to it? Darker light? Or outer in? Hector does everything.
Hector does everything. Right here, oopsies. Latitude. What the heck's Hector doing? Hector, I need you to. Oh, I got it back out.
Hector wanted to go to Valentine's Day early. Get a date with Polly, the projector.
Yeah. So on February 13th at approximately 1, just want to show you that there was LG and AW, obviously Liberty.
German and Abigail Williams.
Yep, they were walking the trail in the area of Country Road 300 North and 575 West near latitude. So at approximately 2:13 p.m., which was the time of the last contact with Liberty and Abby by cellular device. So their cellular device got them that latitude and longitude. Have we ever looked that up to see exactly where that was?
Do you want to live?
I think we should do that live. I've never looked it up. You know, that's something that I've never looked it up. So I figured let's go ahead and take a look.
Might as well, because that's all we've been doing lately. Been living in the long and loud.
While she is doing that, wanted to show you guys, you know, they made it a big deal that right here. Since at that time, I just think they were, you know, all the evidence is all the evidence. It doesn't matter who you're arresting in terms of why you wouldn't be mentioning that bullet, especially if a gun was used to secure and to for one person to be able to do this, to have control over those two girls. So why wouldn't the magic bullet be talked about in this probable cause? But then all of a sudden, here we go in with Richard Allen's probable cause. There's this bullet. You would think that if everybody, for this FBI agent that really had a hard on for Ron Logan, you would be talking about that. Well, it's probably because it didn't match, right? Or maybe it didn't even exist yet. I don't know. See how accurate that is. But a lot of problems with the community and the world when they heard that Ron Logan was lying about, you know, him going to dump trash because he wasn't supposed to be driving. It was against his
Have you ever played that
probation.
video
What video?
of him dumping his trash?
I think maybe in one of my videos I actually have.
I mean, the guy can move, though. You know that?
He can move it.
He can move it. And it's serious.
So a reason I stopped it there also to want to talk about Ron Logan is this property, you know, when they say that the scene was like, I don't know, something like 1,400 yards away from his, well, why would Ron Logan lie or be so, you know, hey, makes a phone call to his, cousin, uncle, to say, hey, family member, hey, tell people that you picked me up at this time. And it was before the girls were found. If you had nothing to do with something. But here, there was a receipt in his home for the aquarium where he did go. So, and I did this back in one of my lives to show how far the aquarium was and could come back and all that stuff. And now that we know, this is what's crazy. So now with everything that we know, how could this FBI agent have such a hard on for Ron Logan, knowing that Ron Logan was clearly, he went to the aquarium, the drive that it takes to get out there, the drive that it takes to come back. Okay. And then the crime scene was said to be staged, as you will see right here. Where is it that I want to? Where does it put you?
It's really interesting what it does is this says that the trail in the area of County Road 300 North and 575 West, right? Well,
Yeah.
This puts us at North 625 West in Carroll County, really close to the Monon, but should I show them? You might not be able to see. Look
ahead,
at
try
here,
it.
look at it.
625 West. What does it say on there?
Here's what this says.
575 West. It's like isn't that like right where like the murder scene is, right?
Pretty much, except I believe it would be on the other side of
Can you zoom in on that? Take a look. We're gonna just put it
Yeah,
on there.
but it's not going to be. We can maybe copy this and go to like Google, but see like
Right there. You should. Yeah, go ahead and put it down. And then
yes.
okay,
So
now
there's
zoom
the
in on
Monon.
that. Can you zoom in on right on that? So, did I just move it by accident?
You probably no, you didn't
Okay.
actually. You're good.
So
yeah, the reason I didn't is because there's the Monon High Bridge right
yeah,
there.
so that's like where that is. Like that's pretty much where.
And so that's where it's coming back to right there.
So that's the longitude and latitude that we pumped in from the
PCA.
The PCA run, Logan. I want to point out, where was it?
No, I didn't move that.
You moved it?
I did. I did. Like, you can't touch this thing. It's very ornery. Medica fix it. But I mean, you guys get the idea.
So on February 14, 2017, while requesting consent to search Logan's property, law enforcement officer advised Logan that Ellie would not search his home unless evidence led them to search it. And they said that Ron Lowe was picked up around 3 and taken straight to the aquarium store, and then, bought his stuff. Then he left and came home. Right here. See that right there? So any and all evidence pertaining to murder, including clothing, forensic evidence, blood, hair, guns. But they don't talk about the fact that they found anything. That's why they want to search for guns when they stated in the probable cause that there was a knife. It was a sharp-edged object that did it. But here, we're looking for guns, right?
Well,
but why not talk about the bullet then?
I don't think. Look, Nicole had a hard on. If they had it,
but why wouldn't you add that in?
Because I don't know if it was necessarily there. It's a big mystery. Because
that's my point.
Nicole would have put it in. She wanted Ron Logan arrested, and this is a PCA. So you put the stuff to get someone arrested in.
Logan carried a gun everywhere he went. Blank knew that Logan would carry a gun in a fanny pack. Blank described Logan's fanny pack as one made out of nicer material. So don't you think that when you're talking about this, that you would then talk about the fact that you found a bullet that was unspent, right?
Unless it doesn't match or have anything to do.
How would you know if it doesn't match if you don't?
Well, you might see, look, you don't put anything in a PCA that is going to go against your narrative of arresting somebody.
They didn't really need to use it because this was enough. They could just talk about this and that got them to be able to search his guns.
Maybe.
Okay.
But guns, you know why they wanted guns if we don't even know about the magic bullet, right? Because the theory is, and this is speculation, but the theory is that the bridge guy, who they called BG, had a gun.
Yeah, but in this, they don't talk about that at all, about the word, like, I'm only saying this is supposed to be a probable cause in order to get search warrants, right? And so how do you get a search warrant for the guns?
No, in order
without
to
talking
arrest, right? So it's enough
No,
probable
this
cause
was
to arrest.
No, this was for a search warrant.
Oh, this isn't, I thought this was his PCA to arrest him.
They didn't arrest him.
Oh, it's just to search him? Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was, because what I have is his secondary searches. The warrants for that.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah,
This
so
is a
that's
search
what
warrant.
it would be, a PCA then to get probable cause to search. Yes, to get signed off to search his stuff. Absolutely. But here's his first search warrant.
Now check this out. Ready? Right here. Number 4. On February 14th, approximately 12:17 p.m., that's when they found the victims, Abigail and Liberty. And the cause of death was a sharp weapon, is what I believe that's not, on the property owned by Ronald Logan. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person, on his clothing. The location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet from Logan's residence.
So now everything we know about.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to now everything that we know, yes.
About the scene is, yeah.
So that's what makes me want to go to this right here, which is right here, number 2. Remember, this was sealed. We didn't have this right off the rip. We didn't have it then.
No, I mean, and murder sheets are the ones that obtained it.
Yeah. So a suspect has been developed from a white male wearing a blue jacket, all that stuff, right? Near the end of the video, the suspect speaks to the victim saying down the hill. Sounds as though he is directing the victims to leave the trail they were on, enter the wooded area below. No person has come forward and identified themselves who met the victims and made the statement. Everything's right there. Let me turn to the next page, which is, keep that one. I think it's on this. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Analysis of Logan's cell phone data revealed a text message sent from his phone at 7:56 p.m. on February 13, 2017.
Which is the day of the murders.
Initial exam of this analysis indicates Logan's phone was likely outside of his residence and in the proximity of where
Abby and Libby's bodies
were located. Now, I want to know where, how precise this possibly could be. Right?
Yeah, but
the only reason I say this is a very interesting time for me. 7:56. Now, let's talk about, does Ron Logan have any affiliations with Brad Holder? Was Ron Logan a practicing Odinite? Did Ron Logan let people use his property to do these rituals? I'm just saying, when you look at that time at 7:56 p.m., I mean, I personally think, weren't they also searching around there at that time? When did they end it?
Yeah, I mean, and he could very easily say that he was also out there helping to search. So.
Okay, now ready for this? So in this, here we go, ready? Boom, right here, number 6. It was also discovered that that one of the victims was.
It was probably talking about an article of clothing.
Yes. One of the victims was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. Now, what do we know about the crime scene from the Franks?
Shoes were missing.
But the clothing.
Now, it's up for dispute.
One of them was redressed with.
Yes. So.
That's not mentioned here.
Well, they never leaked anything about the crimes, like the specifics of the crime scene.
Well, it says it right here. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged.
Well, and remember, everyone made a big deal about those words because they were like, well, what do you mean by staged? What do you mean by, so were they, what's the other word? Not placed, but there's another word. So they're like, no, it's staged means, and they're asking people who work in the field, like, what does staged actually mean? So it's up for debate because they're not really giving away too much here.
Okay, yes, but what I think is interesting is the way I always like to now look at the way that the wording is to get certain things.
Yes, after we know.
Okay, yeah, meaning like, did they know that the girls, one of the girls obviously had nothing on, the other one had the other one's clothing on,
right?
Which then there's no blood on the clothing of the.
So Abby had Libby's clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's no blood on any of the clothes. So what that would tell me, in my opinion, probably yours, is they were bled out, or she, meaning Abby, was bled out somewhere else. And because I mean, there was a little bit around her neck, okay, you guys, but that's also like, but when you're think about dead weight and you're redressing a body, it is going to be incredibly hard for one person to do that, in my opinion. So
the autopsy hasn't been leaked, right?
I haven't seen it.
So I'm curious of the time of the actual crime.
Yeah. The actual death time. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the crime was committed.
Yes. Not the kidnapping part. Okay. Because there's going to be kidnapping and then the actual crimes of murder.
Yes.
So I'm curious on that because Elvis Fields and everything that was being said, his sister's passing polygraphs, Elvis Fields saying that he spit on, and that's why you'd find if you found my DNA. But
there was DNA there, but it wasn't. Yeah.
So I'm curious, out of all the things that Westerman leaked, why didn't the autopsy
get leaked?
Yeah. Why didn't the autopsy get leaked?
I mean, that's a question, I guess, that someone would have to ask him in private, because I don't think they'll ask him that on the stand in his next hearing. His hearing is, I heard from someone that's been there, pretty intense. Like, he just had a hearing.
So,
and he should have to answer for this, because you guys, this is, again, when things are gagged, there is a reason for it. Okay. These are two innocent victims, and you don't break a gag. There is a reason. These attorneys are doing their most. And then here comes this guy that, for whatever reason, money or whatever it is, does this nonsense. And it just impedes justice. And anyone who breaks a gag is disgusting, in my opinion.
Since we have the Franks now, and the cell phone of Libby was underneath the foot of Abby. It's something that's always bothered me since I've gotten that information.
Under the foot of?
Yeah, the leg, foot, yeah.
Wait, what did you say? The cell phone?
Yes, it was
found. It was buried.
It says under the foot. No, that's not what it says that's not what it says.
Are you sure?
Positive.
We need to read it again then.
My photographic memory, I'm going 100, Alex, 1,000.
Okay, well, we need to do your photograph of the mine. Okay.
Actually, I have that. It's right over there, the stack. That's all the way furthest on that table. So if the crime scene was, as the FBI says, it was staged and moved, right? Just that whole big stack right there.
There's like 2 piles of
It's that, and now it's way bigger. It's
This
that.
one? It
No,
has
that
to
underneath that should be that big.
No, this is it. It has to be. This is
Bigger. Should be bigger than that.
Well, I know that this.
All right,
is,
just bring that over here. That's fine.
It has Frank's in it, I'm sure.
Let me see.
If not, I'll keep looking.
No, it's underneath. It's right underneath it. It's the same thing.
There's nothing under that.
So this. Yep, there it is. Bring it over. It's all in order. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. So for me, it was the cell phone. If it was, everything was staged and moved, do we believe that the cell phone was, I mean, how does the cell phone end up underneath the leg like that?
It was placed there. It's in a shoe. I mean, it was in a shoe. Okay. Obviously, the perpetrator knows he left it. In my opinion, knows.
So you would leave somebody's phone?
Well, there's a reason why somebody would leave somebody's phone. This was a very purposeful act, in my opinion. And it was incredibly staged, in my opinion. And in my opinion, it was very much like an amphitheater scene, like it was a staging in more ways than one. Where their bodies were placed, everything was incredibly staged, in my opinion. It's actually pretty sick.
Did Ron Logan have a Facebook account?
I'm not sure. I never tried to friend him. But I don't use Facebook that much too, you know?
The latest thing that they just wrote here. So once the man acting alone reached the river, he would toss these clothing items into the river. So when the FBI says that they recovered, how does it talk about the clothing?
You mean here it says it was discovered that the blank of one of the victims was missing from the crime scene while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged.
Okay, so this acting man alone was apparently dumb enough to decide to walk down 300 North in the middle of the day, headed west, easily visible. Again, so based on all of this, and they knew that Ron Logan went to the aquarium at 3, how the fuck would they? Do you see what I'm trying to get at? What I'm trying to get at is Ron Logan possibly knowing or being there later, having people at his place. Okay. And then that brings my next thing to Anna Williams, which doesn't she know Ron Logan somehow?
Did you do the family tree? Like, who knows who?
So.
I mean, dude, it's a small town, right? But has anyone followed this case from the jump? Does anybody remember the first bridge guy that was put out there? And does anyone remember that he had a mask on? Like, you know, because I mean, it's before COVID. Get it. But
Right
they
here.
changed that. Okay.
Additionally, even after Abby finally would have died, the man acting alone would have had to then wait enough time so that the blood escaping from Abby's neck would stop flowing, as there was little to no blood found on any of the clothing Abby was wearing other than around the neck area. So wouldn't an FBI agent or any detective, when you're talking about, now let's go here, March 17th, so a month into,
Okay, so we're both wrong.
we're not wrong.
Yeah, so here we go. Under Abby's left lower back, a shoe was found. This shoe is believed to be Libby's shoe. Under the shoe, a cell phone was found. The cell phone was later determined to be Libby's phone. The information was confirmed by the recent deposition testimony of Liggett, Lesenby, and Holman. According to the recent depositions taken of Sheriff Liggett, the famous video of the person that many people call Bridge Guy was found on the phone. Additionally, allegedly found between the two girls buried under the leaves and dirt was a single bullet. So that's here.
Wait, that's the bullet.
No, but I just talked about the shoe and the cell phone.
Yeah, so okay.
So it wasn't by foot and it wasn't buried. It was under Abby's left lower back.
Okay. So let's go then to going back to Ron Logan.
You know how they did complain about how the bullet wasn't, they don't have a picture of the bullet while it was in the ground. And that's a big no-no, right? You guys, if you know anything about crime scenes, when you get there, you take a picture, right, of the scene before anything's moved. And then if you have to extract something like a bullet from the ground, you kind of show that process. So you like take video or a picture of it in the ground with a ruler next to it, hopefully if you're doing the right thing. And then as you're going through, you pick it up and then ruler again when it's out of the ground.
100%.
Picture.
Yeah.
So I think that's very interesting, especially when, let me see if I can share this. I might not, it depends what page it's on, if I can share it or not.
Yeah, you could share all that right there.
Yeah, so
Here, put that
especially
list here.
well, I'm just going to share this
We'll just
page
here
of
put the
it.
list there.
Yeah, I'm just going to do this page though. So especially
I'm gonna zoom
when
in. So these are all the exhibits.
you have a list of exhibits, and right here.
Hold on.
This is why you thought it's under her leg.
Yeah. See, told you.
Well, I don't know why the Frank says that. Okay, so see how it says photo of bullet in the ground.
Hold on.
One. Can they see it?
Yeah, so photo of cell phone under Abby's leg.
I don't know why it says that and the Frank says something, but okay, so then photo of the bullet in the ground. One, okay, does this need to go up? Photo of bullet in ground 2, photo of bullet in ground 3. So this is a list of exhibits that, oh boy. So when Robert Fortson, who's the guy who, you know, when Westerman gave the leaked photos, he gave them to Fortson. This is purportedly, from everything that I know and the investigation I've done, this is from something he leaked very early on. And it's the list of exhibits.
He leaked this list?
Yes.
Did that come from the fact that it went out in the email to a wrong person? Was that what the outline of the exhibits was? Was that what this was or no?
No, because that's
Okay.
a different person.
Well, I didn't know if that's what.
Well, I don't know if they're claiming that, but that's a different person than
Yeah,
Fortson.
yeah.
So Fortson is the person who, before his death, had put this out.
Okay, so then can I see that? What's the next one?
But you can't see this one. But yeah.
Oh, I can't. Why can't I see that one?
Because there's something on it. That's like a note that.
No.
Yeah.
We have to keep our sources confidential over here now. So, do you think they asked Ron Logan any questions? I mean, I wish Ron Logan was still around, pertaining to the practice of Odinism.
Well, you know who brought up Odinism, right?
What do you mean? Who brought it up? There was actually a really early Facebook tip that said to look into Brad Holder like 2 or 3 days after the murder. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have it?
Yeah, that was actually it was just placed in that last motion that was filed by the defense.
But did they talk about Odinism in that tip? Because as you know, we've heard
they talked about his Facebook page and all the pictures that were on there, and the disgusting, what the guy referred to as just half naked or naked images of people.
Of people, okay, but
women, girls, whatever.
Well, girls or women. That's
go ahead with who.
No, but what you were saying,
where did it come from, Bella?
Specifically asking about if he was asked about Odinism. Well,
yeah.
Odinism was first mentioned, as we know from the documents we've gotten.
You're talking about Batty Pecky,
yes.
by Becky Patty?
Yeah, I like the Batty Pecky. I like the Batty Pecky. We can go with that. Yes, from Batty Pecky. Absolutely. I love that. I think I want to name my next dog Batty Pecky.
So yeah,
and
she's
Batty.
the one that told one of the officers, but she just mentioned that they said that they were already talking about it. But yeah, she's the one that mentioned, and actually what she mentioned is that Brad Holder was an Odinite. That's what actually how it says. Oh, he practices Odinism, and that's actually how it's worded in the Franks.
Yeah. So did they ask Ron Logan about it? Would be a very interesting question. What do you think?
No. My guess is no. But my guess would be they would skirt around it to ask him if he knew people like Brad Holder. He's not maybe going to talk about Odinism and ask him those questions, but to talk to them about those people and just leave out the Odinism.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think this is a specific, I think this is a very specific, look, I showed you when the Franks came out, I showed you how my friends practice this, and like they've made me like the Fae necklace on trees and like with the F and not Fae who like Fae, and they're all vegan, okay, and they're all just like not about like all about Earth. So I don't know what brand of Odinism or if that's even what it's called, because I don't think that's what it's more of like a Viking thing.
Everybody went hard for like the Keegan Klein. The Keegan Klein story. So let's talk about that. The Cleveland.
What's going on? Yes, go ahead.
I can't talk tonight.
Clegan.
The Clegans of the world. Yeah.
I like it.
Keegan Klein. Okay. That was this big storyline because of the Anthony shots, right?
Sure.
But how about this?
Because it was tied into one of the biggest rings ever arrested. Kokomo. Okay.
But how about this though? It is not even okay, so think about this. If you have these two attorneys and they're going to have a third party capability defense, they're not even talking about Keegan. They're not even talking about that pedo ring. That's not even boom, no, wait. They are talking about Brad Holder, who has a connection. His son was dating one of the victims, right? And then I did a deep dive on all these people's Facebook pages, and they had multiple Facebook pages with multiple different names. And Abby and Libby most certainly were both connected to Brad Holder's son, Logan, who was dating. They were actually also friends. So you know what it's like at that age. You know what I mean? Like you're friends with the people that, oh, I'm dating this, this is my boyfriend. Like they were young. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is.
You have a new boyfriend every 2 weeks or whatever. Too.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
and that's
like
kind of like what
time.
it was. But Rosie and Baldwin, nowhere on the map have they said a word about Keegan. And then, but here you have the murder. They haven't said a word about anything to do with that. Am I wrong?
No, I think they're very focused. See,
so, but my point is though, is that how can these, so think about it from this way. How can these attorneys not be blindsided by the bullshit, which is everybody being fed? Look over here, Keegan. Okay.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we're covering up one of something that's clearly, I believe law enforcement wants to cover up this other thing, so push it that way. And why is Murder Sheet all about that Keegan Klein is responsible and his dad? And
Murder Sheets are one people and have an opinion like everybody else has an opinion.
Well, that little group that's over there.
Okay. Well, like I said, everyone has their own opinions and they have their opinion. But do you think that, I think that it was a big deal when it happened. Okay. So here, first of all, do you even remember when that other dude, freaking can't remember his name right now. Last name starts with it's like a C, Chadwick. Okay. Chadwick came, when he got arrested, and people were like, cause he was like holding some little girl captive in his house there. And they're like, okay, this is it. Knott's Bridge guy. We got him. And then they figured like it wasn't. So then very soon after that, the whole Keegan thing broke. But see, Keegan had a tie to the girls. Okay. And because of that, it wasn't just something plucked out of thin air, right? So because of that, everyone was focused on it. And then when it came out that he wasn't like Bridge guy, his dad, Tony, wasn't Bridge guy, supposedly, and, whatever. They, are now focused on this. And I think that.
Okay, so I guess this is going to be my question.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they frame, or I say
frame?
What if people are going to say Richard Allen's framed, right?
Okay,
That's the
I get
defense,
you.
okay? So why not frame or continue on with, why not put this all on Keegan and his,
I think Keegan's, in my opinion, only.
Why bring in Richard Allen and drag him into this and, give this to him versus just giving it to Keegan? Keegan, you're going to take a plea deal on all of this.
Well, in my opinion, I think Keegan is going to be a witness. And I feel that Keegan has said something, because there's been rumors out there now. There are rumors, okay, that Keegan has a tie to Richard Allen, and that people have found
looked all through that.
You have, and what'd you find? You found it?
No, the only
Roblox.
Roblox.
You looked through that?
I didn't look through Roblox. No.
Okay. Well, and whether it is or isn't, still would not confirm that he would be Bridge guy. Okay. So this is the burden is going to be on the state, and it's in my opinion only, they have a very thin.
Okay. So for me,
case.
Right here.
Yes.
Look at right here. Brad Holder FBI interview report. 2/17/2017, right? That just has gone poof. It's nowhere to be found. The recording, we all heard about this. Is where in here have we heard anything about any of them even interviewing Keegan, his dad? Where's any of that in anything? Since Richard Allen has become arrested, there has been nothing from his attorneys to talk about and they've done a shit ton of work, more work than probably half of I feel like the United States of America's public defenders. They're killing
good.
They're
amazing.
They're killing it for their client. I do believe, obviously innocent until proven guilty, but I do believe in Richard Allen's innocence based off of what we have clearly seen, and there's a lot. So Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal, the guys that these lawyers, they don't know anything about this case, right? How is it that their investigation leads them? They had no idea that stuff was ever deleted or anything, but yet people in this quote unquote investigation knew September, okay, of 2017 that it was missing. Why didn't they, if they knew that it was missing and it was, recorded over or whatever, they were clearly looking for it.
Yeah.
They were clearly going through it to look for it, right? Well, I have a question. Then wouldn't you say, we need to re-interview them? You can't tell them the reason why, or, maybe you could, but we need to re-interview them.
I don't know what the procedure would be for that.
Even for the mere fact is that if somebody in law enforcement purposely did that, right? Whoever then would have come across this, if you're bringing it up to them to say, hey, I was looking because I'm on this case, I was trying to, do X, Y, and Z because of, these tips or whatnot. And I came across this, and all these people's interviews are gone, right? So you're eventually going to have a fucking problem, right? With whoever you arrest one day. You're eventually going to have a huge problem on your hands. Doesn't matter who you arrest. Maybe Richard Allen, maybe whoever. This is a problem, right? So why wouldn't they try to attempt to call these two people back in to talk to them and interview them again?
Whoever wanted that, what you're talking about, I don't know if you read it for the people watching, but what you're talking about is such a slap in everyone's face, because it literally is like the day, like 2 days after they're looking for the time frame. They're like, everything is deleted from this to like 2 days after. Sorry, but everything, it's like, what are you guys like doing?
And so that means not just Patrick Westfalls, right? And not just Brad Holder. So who else was interviewed in that period that were missing their recorded interview? But it's not talked about though at all. So it's not
and let's bring it back to Abby and Libby. And this is in a murder investigation of 2 little girls, you guys. So like the culpability, the amount of delicacy and the amount of care you have to take with the stuff that you obtain has to be extraordinary. And it should be anyways, but this is like, you want justice, right? So who would hinder this? And reading that was, my jaw just dropped. I was just like, when you think it can't get any worse, and the things that we know we don't put out there, it's so bad. It's stuff like, we're not going to put it out there because it could potentially be conjecture, but I have very good sources, and the stuff that I know about that county is just insanity what happens there.
And I'm not allowed to say anything because I gave my word. So I'm working on that, But yeah, the conversations I hear over here, I'm like, who are you talking to?
But
Bela,
it's like,
who are you on the phone with?
But still, you guys, look, just think about that though, right? Like, if this is, God forbid, your family member or somebody that you care about, and then the cop's like, sorry, we lost like this really important interview. It's just like, we just taped over it. Mm-hmm. What do you, in what capacity, where is this okay? And are the only people who are standing up for this injustice are going to be Rossi and Baldwin?
Well, then here's going to be this. This is where
Rosswin, Baldy.
No, this is where I'm going to question the families now, because the families should be the biggest ones right now being like, what the fuck? And they're not saying anything. And in fact, you have people that are out using their channel to say that even stuff that's still being produced is like ridiculous.
Well, see, I didn't. Okay, you guys, when I came to YouTube, I was told Delphi was on YouTube was a cluster fire. Okay. And I was like,
oh yeah, the trolls came for me.
And I don't know what you're talking about. OMG. I like the things you don't even like. Creators are just like hog wild. Like, it's a personal thing. You guys, it's true crime. Everyone,
whatever the fuck I want to talk about.
It's insanity. So whatever. I just don't belong. And I think that's why I get to talk to the people I get to talk to, is I'm not in like any kind of like clique, and I'm not paid, and I'm not bought for. And it's just my opinion, and, based on looking at stuff. But, it's just crazy to me. This is justice for 2 little girls. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Stop inserting yourself in it.
Yeah, so like I'm just saying, how is the family not saying, wait a second, we were outraged. The defense keeps on pumping out all this stuff, and it's
Well, they just the people that think that
the outrage should be at law enforcement because, and then it sickens me to know that Carter went around on his little parade, okay, and I just want to know, Carter, how much did you know about this?
Well, I'm sorry if they're going to.
I think he knew, and that's you could see it in his last. You could see it all over him when he had to go talk about the arrest of Richard M. Allen.
Can we just talk about this though? If they're holding Baldy, if they're holding Rossi and Baldwin responsible for leaked stuff out of their office, how are we not holding Carter then responsible for deleted things in his and under his care? So the FBI was kicked off of this case. Okay, they were told, no, we don't need you back. Okay, so what is going on, Carter? Like, why are you not sitting in front of a tribunal having to answer for how things got taped over in an active murder investigation about 2 little girls?
But when I found out that the FBI, it's the FBI interviews. I'm telling you, in the Chris Watts case that I was had access to a lot of shit, FBI had their own shit, meaning they're going to turn over whatever, but they have a copy of whatever. So I'm so unclear as to get these. I would think the FBI has whatever that they were involved with.
Well, listen, I mean, we're used to this statement around here, right? But this is Delphi. So I think that we need to make a shirt that says that.
I mean, what do you mean?
I'm crossing my fingers. That's
the FBI
true.
has protocols. I mean, what do you mean? Like, I think that this would exist somewhere, and maybe this is a way that they had to put it out there. So then the response to that is, well, yeah, maybe we don't have it, but you're going to have to, motion and get the courts to. You're going to have to get the courts to say that the FBI has to turn over since they were in that interview if they have anything.
I would hope that would be protocol. I don't know what the protocol is, but I would hope it would be. Again, you guys, everything aside, 2 little girls.
How does anything
today,
get over?
7 years ago today, lost their lives. So if people want to talk about rights for children or like this, they'll never see another Thanksgiving. This is happening. Where's the justice, right? So you're talking about, at the very least, these are people that needed to be talked to. How do you tape over something like this? Who is going to answer for it?
And if these people, this is my thought process. If these people were nobodies that the interviews got recorded over, I would simply call them back up, say, we have to re-interview you. We lost our, tell them the truth. Don't, or hey, we're doing another batch of interviews. You know what I mean? It's. I mean, why wouldn't that look like you were doing the right thing?
Patrick did an interview with a YouTuber.
Wouldn't somebody be saying to you, listen, we're gonna have a huge problem to try to prosecute this down the road when all these interviews are fucking recorded over or deleted, however you want to look at it. But like I said, it doesn't matter who would have been arrested. You're fucked.
No, it's disgusting. It is absolutely, there's rules to follow. This is horrific.
And so what is Gall going to do about it?
What is Gall going to do?
For justice for the girls, what is she going to do? Isn't that what her job is?
What is Gall going to do? Nothing. Where's the Supreme Court going to do maybe? I don't know. I mean, this thing to me was, did you go through this one?
What's that?
The newest.
No, not yet.
I mean, it's just, this is, answering.
Wait, is this let me see.
Yeah, it's the new one from the 8th.
Oh,
yeah. And, it's.
Oh, is this just the ruling?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I already.
Yeah, you did this, I would figure. So what is the Supreme Court going to do should be the question, right?
Yeah, this is just more of like it all written out when it was filed. Yeah, decided February. Where's what we have today? The contempt.
Contempt was done the other day, but then the answer, hold on. This is what you told me to hold on.
Just something that got me more thinking and why I wanted to talk about the whole Ron Logan part is because Was this FBI agent so far off? Like when she was saying that people saying that she had like tunnel vision, she had like a hard on for Ron Logan. Okay, maybe it was.
Unless you want to do the contempt first.
Maybe they were. How do I want to say this? Maybe they were just missing off the mark a tad bit, but that the property was important. And, you know, if you're looking at, you know, why is this guy lying? Why, you know, saying this, that, or the other? Why does he need an alibi before we even know, like, before he even knows that the kids are going to be found? And it was like he knew they were going to be found on the property, but he didn't. Like I said, people lie not because they did the crime, but because of other circumstances surrounding. You know, they're not thinking, when you don't have smart individuals, they're not thinking about the big picture. They're thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble because I totally blew off my, you know, the probation, right?
I didn't have a license.
Yeah. But see, then people say, well, then why didn't he talk about the whole going to dump the trash, you know? And that's why something that I think just, it's interesting that to try to find the connection there with who.
I just thought it would be good for everyone to see him. I mean, just to give everybody like a basis. I think it's a good thing to have everybody see him moving around with the trash, you know, like how he moves incredibly well. I have to go through so much. But
I thought it always made sense to me that one of the girls would be trying to sneak off and meet up with her boyfriend, you know, and
sure,
he was always up there that weekend and with his buddy Patrick on the weekends, and then they knew that they had that Monday off. The whole district was off.
I mean, you might want to wait till it really starts going. Just like, you don't have to watch the whole thing. It's, but just when he's like moving in and moving the bags, and the bags are heavy, it's like supposed to be trash from his property, you know, but interesting, very interesting.
How much trash does he have?
A whole truckload.
See, like that's what I'm talking about. Why aren't we paying attention to, did they ever go through all that? What was in it?
Sheesh, I don't know if they went through it. But you know, trash, we found out in some other cases that usually
he's up there and he.
Oh, look how heavy these are going to look. You guys, hopefully you can see that. Now you.
I mean, my question is what is he throwing away?
Supposedly trash from his property.
Like he was cleaning like the yard?
Uh-huh.
I think that nobody's going to dispose of anything worth of a damn on a camera like that. This is Ron Logan disposing the trash at what time? Like 12:52 or 11:37 a.m. Something like that. 11:37 a.m.
I don't know. Wasn't it later? I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is Ron Logan.
But anyways, you guys get the idea. And I want to, this is the Inquisitor. So,
just leave it. Hold on. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, he's like moving butt. You know what I mean?
I would say he's moving butt.
Oh,
I would just say like, what the fuck is all that trash?
I think he's this is on the day of the murders.
Like what are you doing? But you know, maybe he's just that type that he's I'll wait till it piles up and then I just take it on down there and make one trip with it. You know what I mean?
Here. It is. It's 11:25 a.m. Yeah. I want to see that. Oh, you mute it.
That's fine.
Whatever. It is.
So
this isn't the one from, today. Was it today or yesterday? This is the one from today right here, but that is what it's talking about, right?
yeah, this
So-
was everything, just walking it through because they want to hold Baldwin and Rossi in contempt. So we know everything that they've done. So this is the
Well, I wanted to talk about a couple things in there, but sure, whatever.
What
This
number did
is,
you want to talk about?
well, it's okay. We don't have to. It's fine. But like, this was written by Hennessy, you guys, and Hennessy is a badass, and he's basically like, "Excuse me, what is going on?
Excuse me, but
What is happening?
I'm gonna pop in here for a second. So
Can you guys just please explain yourselves, because we don't have a clue." So it's literally a petition for clarification. Like, can you please be clear, because you aren't.
okay, so let's see what we got.
Yes.
Back out for this.
It is a little blurry, so it is that.
Let's take a look. Make it a little bit bigger like this. Okay. So he wants clarification. So he's
About the contempt hearing, like what's going to happen, you guys? Like, what is happening? Because we just had something. We were supposed to be here February 12th, which was yesterday, and then you guys continued it to March 18th, and we just want to know what are we going to be talking about? We don't know. Can you please, with all due respect, be clear?
So they want to know 3 attorneys Baldwin and Rossi are without sufficient notice as to the details of the state's allegations and how or why any specific acts are alleged to be contentious. The state has referenced the following with insufficiencies described. Go ahead.
A, it refers to a press release issued prior to any, quote, gag order without specifying how or why that was contemptuous. B, that Mr. Baldwin failed to disclose an accidentally misdirected email, but cite no authority or order requiring disclosure. C, referenced the Franks memorandum as having graphic descriptions and defense-created demonstrative exhibits, but again failed to advise how that was contemptuous conduct. D, reference Mr. Westerman's unauthorized photographing of Discovery, but failed to allege how that was the fault of Mr. Baldwin or Mr. Rossi, or how it was willful conduct on their part. E, Mr. Baldwin brainstorming with Westerman, violating both orders, but ignore that in an in-chambers meeting, brainstorming and strategizing with person not on the defense team was declared permissible. F, allege a trend of Baldwin and Rossi not being completely honest, yet offer no details or cite to any authority or requirement to support the allegation. I just love Hennessy. 5, it seems clear that the state is really attempting to charge indirect criminal contempt. See defendant's counsel's motion for summary denial of the state's verified information for contemptuous conduct. As such, a separate filing and initial hearing would be contemplated. 6, attorneys Baldwin and Rossi respectfully request notice whether the March 18th, 2024 hearing will be a formal advisement of the specific allegations or whether the court anticipates hearing testimony and receiving evidence. Wherefore, attorneys Baldwin and Rossi respectfully pray the court to provide guidance as to the substance of the March 18th, 2024 contempt hearing that is scheduled. And so, like, could you guys believe that, like, when they showed up on the 13th, right, of October, and they were just, or was it the 31st, and just, like, plowed through and told, you guys need to like either resign, like, stop being his attorney, or I'm just gonna hold you guys, like, I'm just gonna like read you guys the riot act. So I think they're in their rights to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I just want to know what's going on. Like, wait, are we supposed to have testimony? Are we supposed to have?
Yeah. What are you guys gonna?
What's going on here?
Is Gull gonna strike us dead again? Like, what are you gonna do, Gull?
Like in the order that it was. And there you go. That's the clarification. So that was handled. Probable cause, and then what's underneath that?
That's probably something. That's yours. That's the one that isn't. You might have taken mine. That's yours. I think mine had the soup thing on it. But anyways, here that's
Just throw that up there.
this one.
Yeah, on top. So, okay, so I want to talk about the animal hair samples. Okay. The reason being is we go to Elvis Fields. Motherfucker loves cats. Do you guys know that? I went all over his. Have you guys seen that man's Facebook? He's got a ton of Facebook pages,
He does.
and all he's interested in is talking to online hookers. Okay?
Well, also he likes to do Facebook Marketplace. He finds all those weird. One of them is for the hookers.
He has 5,000 friends, and they're
all hookers. Those are hookers.
Straight hooks.
But that's the
How
one
does
hooker.
Elvis Fields, like, that dude looks like he doesn't leave his home.
He will for hookers. I break for hookers is like his bumper sticker.
So, you guys have seen his.
Don't.
Anyways, he's got tons of cats. So this cat hair, so the animal hair, I'm just curious about that.
So weird. And like the amount of deaths that surround Delphi, I don't even know. I mean, you should actually do a flow chart of that.
So who, because it wasn't in the probable cause, because it probably didn't matter, but he sent the text message. And in the proximity of where their bodies were located. So you're basically saying that he was outside sending a text. So he just happened to be 1,400 yards from the bodies, but that to me is like
that's his property.
That's his property, and
1,400.
They would be able to pinpoint this down like seriously to the Latin long. And did they? Wait, did they?
I don't see it there.
Why didn't they? So why didn't they do that?
We don't know if they did or didn't.
No, but because it doesn't help their cause is what my point is.
I mean, we don't.
Otherwise,
it's not in the PCA. I don't know if they needed to Latin long in the PCA.
Well, if they Latin long freaking the girls' location with the phone, why aren't you Latin long in that? Whatever, I think that's bullshit.
Latin long all day.
Doesn't help their cause. That's why they didn't do it. They can just prove that he just happens to be at his property. We can kind of say that he looks like he's outside. I will say this. After doing tons of research in the Harmony Montgomery case, that probable cause was sealed for 7 months.
It was only released 7 months ago. Longer.
No, that's right, because it was
so it's
October.
been
It was written on October 25th, 2022. Okay, and it was unsealed in June
20th, 23
of 2023.
So that's more than.
And let me tell you something. Why they had to.
It's 9 months. It's a full term baby.
Let me tell you though. Actually, I want to read that top part of it because this is something that makes sense to me. I want to point out why this happened.
And it's a good.
Oh hell yeah, because it was needed.
I think you have it though.
I got it. It's over here.
It was only obtained. It was only obtained when WHUM or whatever it is in Boston went and wrote up an order, took it to a judge, and the judge was like, okay, we're going to unseal it, which is, the only reason the PCA got out on the Harmony Montgomery case.
Yeah, because I want to show you guys something.
Do you have it?
Yes, I have it. Right here. Check this out. Here. I'll make this as big as possible. Okay. So right here. While the investigation into the murder of Harmony Montgomery has been extensive, that investigation remains ongoing. There are additional witnesses who remain to be interviewed, and based on the information they provide, there may be further investigative steps to take. In addition, once the new charges become public, additional witnesses may come forward who had previously been holding back. If the information in the probable cause statement is made public at the current time, it could taint these future investigative efforts. Now, I want to show you why it mattered in this case. Right there. So this is what they were asking for. To seal the probable cause statement for arrest in this matter, allow the state to provide a copy of the probable cause statement to the defendant in discovery and order such other further relief if it's made improper. So I want to show you guys the date of this filing here.
It was October 25th, I believe, right?
Right there. Yeah, 10/25/2022.
And then 9 months later.
Now, the reason why, let me explain to you why. In this, everything that was put out, like, this is what you call a probable cause. This is very, really, really, but it's so, like, they don't have a body. You know what I mean?
Right.
There is no body. And the stuff that is in here, like Kayla said, okay? Kayla said this, all right? Then you have stuff that happened with a grand jury. There's grand jury testimony stuff that's quoted in here that's, not for anybody, that happened in 2022. Then there's proffers that happened. Kayla did one on 6/3/2022, and then 6/23/2022.
So she did 2 proffers, you guys.
Yeah. Travis Beach did, Tone did, all of these people, because they were lying about the drugs. I'm not going to talk to you about anything. Why am I going to tell you a damn thing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be incriminating myself as either being in some capacity, selling drugs, doing drugs, in possession of drugs. I mean, these are all, and I'm on probation, but on top of it, you have people that are pointing the finger at other people, but they're also doing a timeline that if this was to get out on what you said, and I get to then see it because it's public, all right, then I'm like, wait a second, I need to, like, holy shit.
Right. We kind of hit on a little bit of that this morning when we were talking in the Montgomery case, and it was a different thing. It was more about how the jury shouldn't see and why they're sequestered or why they're asked not to look at certain things. And it's because the stuff that's out there is legitimately talking about things they're not allowed to see. And this also goes with that. And it was, no one was complaining. I don't know. I don't know if anyone was complaining they didn't have the PCA in this case, but.
Well, I want to show. Right. I want to show you guys. Remember the big to-do? It got all released. They raided, went into the apartment.
Like 744 Union.
Yeah, on Union Street of Adam and Kayla's. They went in on June 14th, 2022.
Love it.
They went in and they took the refrigerator out of there. Okay.
Yes.
And
they were set up 3 days prior to that, so everyone knew it was coming. Like, all the neighbors were out, right?
Yep. And then I paid attention and I was like, wait a second. That's why Kayla did her second proffer on 6/23/2022.
That's a good catch, LO.
Yeah, because it yielded 0 results when it came to putting Harmony in the closet before the refrigerator, but in between the bathroom, but ended up they had to ask her more questions, and they were able to then reveal they were able to get right here maintenance people to come forward and talk about that they had they put in like a like a maintenance request to come and like snake the toilet, fix the lever. So they're trying to do stuff off of what Kayla's saying, and they need time to go and do this stuff, right? And if they have to follow up with people, we don't want Kayla, okay, to see any of this, right? We don't want any of the witnesses to see some of the stuff until we can, like, you know what I mean, at the last possible
Absolutely, till we have to.
second, because we're trying to do, we're trying to get more information, right? And they were thinking that if we go ahead and we arrest Adam, that people for this, that some people that maybe were holding back will
feel more comfortable coming forward.
Yeah.
And Adam is a very savvy, if you guys don't know or notice, a very savvy career criminal. He has, part of the thing that the jury is not allowed to see is, his defense asking for suppression on his juvenile record. The guy's been, and it was granted, the guy's been in trouble since, and you can tell by the way he interacts with police, right? He knows, don't say anything, ask for an attorney. There's nothing to say. But hey, if you're addicted to cigarettes, that's going to be your downfall, guys.
Okay. Well, so yeah, it's so going back to the Delphi case, right? This PCA, obviously, like,
what you do?
I don't know, some of my piles. I got piles of. That's why I leave that up there.
All right, go ahead.
It's in that. Let me
You
see what you
did
got
it,
there.
but this isn't.
What's underneath it?
It isn't. Oh, look, you have one sheet you have a couple sheets here.
What's that? No, that's the old one. That's the one that you just moved. What's underneath that?
Go ahead. This?
Yeah, that's it. See, I know you touched my stuff, girl. There you go.
Well, thank God I did, or else you wouldn't be able to find it.
Whatever. Probable cause affidavit. This is horrible. This is what you got 6 years at the time later, right? Nothing. Nada, right?
Horrible.
Turn to my pick here.
And this is, you guys, in case you didn't catch this PCA, because we're talking PCA after PCA here. This is Richard Allen's, is that correct?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes, this is Richard Allen's. Muddy and bloody, right? Remember, it came out in the Franks. Wait, she never said that. You know what I mean? She never said that. Now I have a question, guys. Now think about this. We have everything that was supposedly that happened on 2/13 to 2/12 or to 2/20, like that week is supposedly gone, right? So you're telling me that these witnesses that were eyewitnesses, their interviews are still there? Wouldn't they have been interviewed right
around that time?
Away? I mean, the fuck? So I want a little clarification on what interviews are missing from the time, of the girls going missing, if they were interviewing during that time, because to them finding the bodies, and who are we interviewing? When are we interviewing? Right?
who's going to be held accountable? I just feel like accountability is the answer for a lot of things. This is a really important thing to not lose or tape over or be negligent with. Speaking of negligence and misconduct, right? So being in contempt of court, yeah, but this is clear misconduct. We're talking about little girls who were murdered.
And nobody had seen, out of all the witnesses, nobody saw Abby or Libby, right?
Mm.
Isn't that's wild?
I think Delphi's wild.
Well, how would they not have seen them?
Right. It was a nice day, from what everyone says. A very nice day for that time of year. A lot of people were out. School was out. A lot of people were out on the bridge that day. Or at the park. The trails.
So if you're, So the other thing I think is crazy is that nobody saw, like at the time, if you're going to give people like 6-packs, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you show Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall? I mean, those people were the ones that were like Logan.
Well, and Westfall's like 6'7". Like he just stands out, you know? So
from what Brad Holder says, they would go off and they'd be doing like their rituals or whatnot. And he would take his kids with him to the, what did he refer to it as, like the park?
Holder said this, or Westfall?
Brad Holder.
Okay, because Westfall said the same thing.
Yeah, and they would go off and like play and stuff, right?
You have to teach them how to make their own runes, their own.
How long does these things take? Like, did they ever check the cameras like way like hours before? And then they were saying, well, Brad Holder was at work. Remember that? Like he had to work or whatever. But your son doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? He got off at work at what, like 3? Technically, if he was to go pick up his kid from hanging out with his girl.
Yeah. My boy.
I guess my hang up is why does Odinism have to be so like hush hush with, I mean,
with who? I don't know how hush hush it is. I mean, the guards are wearing patches. One got a tattoo after he was told to remove the patches.
I know, wild, right?
I mean, since when can they have?
Okay, so then I'm going to ask the hard question then. How does Mitch Westerman know the guy that committed suicide? Do you know?
I know, but I'm not gonna.
Wait,
I
know?
Well, people can say if they want to say. Well, I know a theory. Okay. I don't know if it's the truth. I mean,
can you talk about your theory?
No.
Why?
Because of my theory. But okay, yeah, that's a really good question.
I mean, isn't that a great question? Like, as to like, okay, there's this leak by this guy, that was a consultant for the defense, but he's leaking stuff that was going to hurt the defense, allegedly, right? What would be your motive to do that? But not only does he gives it to this random dude.
Yeah.
And then this random dude, gives it to who? The YouTuber people?
Oh, no. It started on Facebook.
Facebook's the devil.
So it started on Facebook, and it was like very covert.
This is gonna be really huge. I mean, this is part of the.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So let's talk about this.
Yeah. So supposedly the reason Robert wanted to do this was to get the truth out there. Okay.
Robert
Fortson.
He wants to get the truth out there about what?
About what's really happening. Okay. So,
but what's really happening? It's going to come out in a trial.
Hey, I'm not the one that.
But no, I'm just like, see, like, get the truth out there. The truth's coming.
You have to let people have their reasons. Okay, like the guy's not here
so the
to
guy
answer.
Told this to someone?
Yeah, like he's not here to answer for himself. Okay, so I have no idea. We can't ask him that, but that's supposedly what it was.
Danny said that Fortson has been obsessed with this case. He's originally from a place not too far from Delphi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how does Mitch Westerman know that Fortson is obsessed with this case? And let's make sure that we find this Fortson guy, because they were in a Facebook group together?
Or maybe chat knows, but so anyways, so he puts this stuff out, but then also if you see all the stuff that is being put out that is supposedly from Fortson, okay, and a lot of it is, but there are some times where I don't know if he's like shared his password with other people because it's just bizarre, and he's like the way he talks is like, okay, we're gonna, because it's almost a covert thing, okay, so they're talking about putting this stuff out.
They're in a group.
It's kind of like this, yes, because it starts out kind of small, okay, and then like they start sharing this information on different places on Facebook, and then eventually social media. So, and it's like sporadic, and you kind of have to it's like a clue game. Like you kind of got to look at all the things he posted and just go like in chronological order. And
okay.
In my opinion only, God, I shouldn't even say this. Oh my God. In my opinion,
come on, just
okay. In my opinion only, Nick. This is my opinion only, guys. Nikki McClellan.
McClellan.
Yeah, Mickey boy.
Nick McClellan. Okay, the prosecutor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Batty Petty.
Okay.
Sorry. And Nick, I feel, ended up talking to Robert. Okay, and basically.
End up talking
to Robert. How you always
when?
say this thing that you say like trolls troll each other and pretend like they don't know each other, and that's like the biggest troll thing. It's like they'll talk crap about somebody who they're actually really good friends with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like something like that, right? When you start, at first it doesn't start like that, then it starts to be like that, and then all of a sudden it's very Nick style stuff that's being put out there. But okay. I don't think that Robert, in my opinion, ever thought Richard Allen.
So you have Robert.
Was guilty. And I think that what he's doing is
so you have Robert F. How do Robert F. and Mitch?
Well, that's your question that you want to ask your chat.
Okay. So because he gets the discovery.
Well, no, he gets pictures of certain
and it's from the discovery.
From the discovery, yes.
Okay. So Mitch is here with the discovery, decides to take pictures.
Mitch is a confidant and somebody who consults at Baldwin, attorney Andrew Baldwin's place. And
okay, so they're all together.
Well, no, because
but
Rossi
he's at his office. They're not there, but he
But
goes
Rossi
there.
isn't even in this law firm, but sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So then Mitch leaves with his little pictures.
So I wouldn't even, I'd take that off.
Okay. So he's just at
Yeah.
the law firm.
Yeah, but it's just Baldwin.
Of Baldwin.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So then he leaves and he has his discovery
He
pictures,
takes pictures.
and he's going to give it to only this person.
I don't think it was only that person.
Okay.
I think there was 2 people.
And he filled out an affidavit, right, Mitch Westerman?
He's in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah. So in the affidavit, we haven't seen it yet, right? It's sealed.
Shoot.
The affidavit's sealed. And so my question is all right, well, if Mitch knows that they're onto what they're onto, what they're doing, because he's consulting, right? So if he's all concerned that, we got to get this truth out, right? Well, it's coming. They're filing a Frank. You know what I mean? It's coming. They're filing a Franks. So
why? Right?
Yeah, he was hired as a consultant, right?
Do we
for
think?
them? So who was he? A double agent?
Was he?
Is Miss like when?
So why is all this happening?
When Baldwin says the ultimate betrayal, to me, that's got to be a 2-time.
Oh no, but it is it is a betrayal, because why are you the defense is working incredibly hard. There's a gag. Why would you do this? Okay, like if me and you are working on something, there's a gag for a law firm, and you go sell. I mean, you don't have to go do it for the other team, but if you go sell our stuff, like it would be a betrayal.
So
it could
he
be
sold
for us.
it to Robert.
I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, if you go and give it to somebody, it doesn't have to be the other team. You just go give it to somebody. It's a betrayal because we're on a gag, and it's
this is how I would know that you have to give it to somebody that's going to put it out there. Otherwise, the plan doesn't work.
Well, the plan might be to put it out there.
I know, but like if I want something to get leaked, but I don't want to be the person to leak it, right? I'm going to do what? I'm going to go make an anonymous email, right? And I'm going to go send it to a creator, right?
Oh, well, that happened that happened way after, okay? And that didn't happen with them. I'm just
how they play in the world of like YouTube creators would be like,
Yeah, but that did happen.
Here, give it to somebody. Like, here, they'll release it. They'll do it. Give them all the stuff. And they have these little clip channels and they can just, whatever.
That did happen, but that wasn't here. That wasn't with these 2 people. As far as I know.
Okay, so this has always been my thing. If you're not getting something out of something, why would the risk versus reward? Like for me, I have my channel, right? I'm not going to there is no way I'm fucking doing something. The risk has to make sense for the reward and vice versa.
Well, supposedly, rumor has it this was like kind of like Fortson was like really wanted to know and get the truth, like again the truth out there, right? He was like, that was his thing, and he couldn't. And I don't know what the reward was from it. Maybe it was a payment. I have no idea about that part of it. But what I will say is, he thought he was doing, quote, the right thing. And then somewhere along that way, from what I see, in my opinion only, Nick gets involved.
So what do you? I know he got involved because he investigated it.
Nick does some, in my opinion only, some really crazy. Hey, I can't even say. That's a crazy place.
So was this purposeful leak all about getting Baldwin and Rossi off the case?
You mean from Mitch's standpoint, or from whose standpoint? You think it started out that way? Is that what you mean?
I'm saying that. What was the plan
from the get?
Yes.
What was the true intention?
Yeah. What was the true intentions? And you use people as pawns, and you let them think something else.
Sure.
But really, that's not what the fuck's going on.
So then, how could we know if the true intention was to mess up the defense's case?
So for me, why would Baldwin hire Mitch to be a consultant on this case? where does Mitch come from?
I believe
In
that
types
he's
of
an
that I
attorney.
would want to have you as I don't need
A consultant?
I don't think that Baldwin needs, yeah. Was it something that it was?
He had given him the franks, but he had trusted him with a lot of information. He had trusted him with, I mean, the guy's like running free in his, like, you know, in his office, and, you know,
Why would this
Discovery's
guy
sitting
commit?
around.
Okay, so then we have Robert, and after he is talked to by the police, which the police basically say, no, he said he wouldn't talk to us.
Well, when he's talked to by Nick,
and he commits suicide.
in my opinion only.
Within how
Nick talks to him, in my opinion only. I mean, come on. How does this happen? And Robert doesn't start out saying Richard Allen is guilty. Actually, Robert,
I guess I'm just gonna say it. Why the fuck does it matter that there was even this leak in terms of that your prosecutor, okay, is literally doing the work of detectives, okay, and he's in one of the biggest, highest profile cases right now in the country, not just Indiana, but in the country, that he is trying to figure out about some YouTuber. They have some crime scene photos. What the fuck?
Gull did the same thing. Gull's investigating.
Well, Gull's over there thinking, well, just tell them to give it back and not to post again, or I'll hold them in contempt. These aren't journalists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Water and hot towels, Mitch, she's crowning. So, I personally believe that this became a plan once they saw that when these depositions were happening. When was the death?
Right when all this, right?
Yeah, because
like
I'm gonna tell you about these
coming. It wasn't. Shoot, I had it pulled up.
You have depositions that are being done,
And let me tell you what's really trippy.
which, if you take those dates into consideration,
I told you this, right? So somebody that lives there. I've tried to corroborate this. I've even asked this person to send me the info. They said they would. They didn't. But this person is highly valuable. But this person said that they saw on the news when it first happened to Fortson that it was reported on the local news. So this is Delphi local news that it was
a suspicious death.
No, that it was a murder.
What?
Right. And I go, what? That's what I said. What? And this person
So I
said,
don't give a fuck about that. There's depositions that happen, okay?
Mm.
They go boom, boom, boom with these depositions. Based on the depositions, therefore, I would know then what questions were asked of me, okay? I leave up out of that motherfucking deposition, okay? I pick up the phone and I say, we have a problem.
Mm.
You guys have a huge problem on your hands. They know. If I say the words, they know. That's why I want to know the dates on when was the picture taken by Mitch. What are the dates on his phone? What's the metadata show on the phone?
well, why did you pull up
What
that
are the dates?
contempt?
That's not on there. What are the dates? I want the metadata on the phone because Mitch could have, when did he take the pictures? And then
Where's
send
the
them.
contempt?
Because that all matters. But I believe it has everything to do with the depositions, and a phone call was made saying they know. They know.
They freaking know.
And then it was what do you mean they know? They know about Odinism. And then they have and then they get their little fucking peeps together that are the peeps running the area. And say,
They're enforcers.
yeah, and say, what are we going to do about this? All right, well, we got to come up with we got to come up with something. Who do we know that's working with them that we have some leverage on?
Why did anyone think after leaving all that stuff there that they wouldn't know about Odinism?
Leaving on what stuff? Where?
The F on the tree. the way that the twigs or the branches were on the bodies. Why would anyone care that now, like, this was staged? Like I said in the beginning, it's not just staged in the typical way that you talk forensically staged.
Crime scene photos were leaked 100%.
And it was, the crime scene was incredibly staged, like amphitheater type staged, okay? Like where they were killed is a very distinctive area when you're standing there looking, and the way the trees are and the way that everything is. And it's almost like this bowl, okay? So in my opinion, now, why wouldn't they want that? That's what they wanted. Now, they don't want it to lead back to them, but they want this to be...
Everyone's alive. Everyone's alive, and there's no leaks, depositions.
Who's everyone's alive?
I just mean everyone. Homie's alive. Like, nothing's happened. Once the depositions take place of the law enforcement agents in this case, that's when all hell breaks loose.
Oh.
Because these law enforcement agents are making phone calls saying, they know we have a fucking problem here. Okay. Because it could just be one thing versus like, I don't know, we missed it. Like we weren't thinking about that at all, right? We missed it. We didn't think this was Odinism, right? But we now can see that it was covered up, right? So that's what I'm trying to say is there was a phone call made. So is Mitch Westerman an Odinism? What's
an Odinite?
Yeah. What are we talking about here? Or I want to know the ties of where has Mitch Westerman worked?
Where's Mitch been all your life?
Yeah, like
Mitch,
what does he do? What the fuck does this man do? He's not a lawyer. He's like, what, a paralegal or some shit?
I think it's something on that level. He's definitely a consultant if he's not a lawyer.
I want to hear all about this. Like, I want to hear about this.
Well, I'm about to. Oh.
Mitch, how were you ever even approached to be a consultant on this case in the first place?
Because you knew Baldwin.
How? What do you mean he knew Baldwin? Baldwin seems like a pretty straight shooter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Baldwin's the one that's over there saying, come on, journalists, like this is
start journalism.
This is your dream right here. Danny says that Mitch never passed the bar, but he did go to law school. Okay.
Thank you, Danny. Dan. Yeah. I can't see chat, so.
Mitch, get the lights. DC 2019. Micah? Oh, Micah. So again, when were the pictures taken? If these pictures were taken after this, the reason I'm saying this is that he had access to this, right? From Jump, right?
And Frank's.
Okay, right? So
I don't know how much of the
pictures,
discovery.
when were the pictures taken, right? Did he have them just laying around? Okay.
Give me the.
And then did he?
You took my thing.
Was he, like, if I'm Nick Leland, hey, Mitch, we go way back. Remember how I got you out of that jam? Okay, well, this is what you're going to do. Otherwise, I'm going to do, it blackmail. But now, if that truly happened, that means Mitch Westerman's going to come forward and say I was blackmailed by the prosecutor?
Have you ever listened to the minute meetings of the Delphi committee? And then Nick is there talking about paying everybody $10,000, paying his people that he just hired $10,000 to work for him. You haven't? It's amazing.
Let's look at it this way. Who would ever make such a big deal like this about that getting leaked, right? To the point that they knew that the leak came from.
They had to investigate who it came from. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
there's stuff that gets leaked all the time, and I don't see people.
This is a big deal.
Okay, then I want to talk about Abby's step uncle, that was at the scene, part of the search team, and they're all taking pictures over there, and all that stuff in the beginning. David Erskine and all that crap that he wrote.
Okay.
I want to talk about that.
What about it?
There was people that took pictures.
Mm-hmm. Erskine supposedly took him to send to family members, right? That's the story. Erskine's been supposedly cleared, right? I mean, I had an issue.
I mean, who talks about their family members like that?
Well, no, I had an issue with the fact that Erskine.
Sick fucks, man.
I had an issue.
Everybody's just a bunch of sick
It's
fucks.
just Delphi. I had an issue that he knew and was telling people early on that he was. It was almost like he was there when she bled out, right? Like it didn't happen here. She didn't bleed here.
The Franks was filed September. Something big happened on September 8th. I know that. And then I want to say it was like September 18th. What was the date on that filing?
Franks was filed September 18th.
God, my numbers are just money. Something happened on September 8th, though. And it was also I think that was one of the depositions that was like, holy hell broke loose. And then I'm telling you,
I don't know, but
I believe those pictures happened after September 8th and possibly after September 18th. Because my whole thing is like, why not leak those photos? Let's say it's been how long? You know what I mean? You know, because there's no reason to leak it, you know? It had to be the moment that Odinism became known, because remember, they kept it all hush-hush. That was something they kept saying in the Franks, like, we didn't even tell our client about that shit, okay? We didn't want him to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
They know.
So October 12th, Rossi submitted a letter to the court admitting that both he and defense counsel Baldwin had agreed to store the discovery in the conference room.
I knew all that.
So that's the 12th of October, but that gets put out, right? That's the one I wanted to talk about.
Which one? I just want you to stop hoarding all your sources. Because
Hoarding my sources?
I'll just come out and say it.
Don't.
I believe 100%, without a doubt, that, and because it worked. It worked. The person that asked for them to be disqualified was Nick.
Yeah. Well, something happened to make Robert appear to change his tune. Whatever he was writing, like all of his writings, like really started changing.
His writings?
Yeah, what he was putting out there. Yeah. It started to be very pro-prosecution. And supposedly that's not what he felt. Right? So something happened. Whether it's trolling the trolls, I don't know. I don't know if he's like acting like it, but then Nick talked to him, in my opinion only.
And said, we're what, gonna come for your family?
And Nick talked, I mean, who knows what was said, but then he killed himself, in my opinion. I mean, he didn't kill himself in my opinion only, but he killed himself after Nick talked to him.
Something happened on the way.
What did he do with the Parmesan?
I don't know. That sounds great. Parmesan cheese for all.
Okay.
Do we have any?
No. The charcuterie is missing. It's just the parm. But where is the parm? I legit just had it. Oh, there it is. Look at that. It's hiding. Here. I only like shredded parm. I mean shaved, not shredded. Please don't ever get me shredded.
Shredded?
No, shaved.
Shaved parm?
Uh-huh.
What a... thanks for my shaved Parmesan. I don't know, man. I just think what they did was super risky. And,
Who did? Oh, stealing? Yeah.
no, this was totally... This is...
Staged.
100% an inside job, but it happened to be after the whole Odinism thing comes out. And,
well, then Mitch must have waited because Mitch knew about the Franks. No,
yeah.
I mean, it was...
That's what I'm trying to tell you. This is how it got out. He knew about it, and they had to get to somebody that would do what they needed him to do. Once the depositions of those motherfucker law enforcement dudes, when that happened, the questions that were asked.
Now I can't wait to hear the trial, the hearing that he just had.
That's what's up. That's when everything changed. When they were like, they know.
Well,
because otherwise there's no issues here. He would have had the crime scene photos, okay, a long time ago. So why not leak them then? You know, because they weren't a threat yet. The moment that they became a threat, meaning Baldwin and Rossi became a threat, was when they knew the truth. Okay.
So then you give it to Fortson because he's hungry for it?
So then he had to get to the inside to say, okay, now, Mitch, you're going to go in there and take photo. You don't get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
But if there would have to be a reason though, that Mitch would ever be like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And why ever Mick Leland could ever feel that he could ever ask him to do that. Like you would have to have something on him. What kind of family life does he have?
Which one? Mitch or Fortson?
Yeah. How did Mitch know to give it to Robert Fortson? How the fuck does that happen?
Fortson is really thirsty.
Like, but it doesn't matter. Like, you still have to say that someone's gonna put that out there.
They might.
You know how much shit I've gotten over the years? I haven't fucking put. That's insanity. Why?
Yeah, especially because people always think you're gonna put stuff out there, so they'll always give it to you.
Yeah, I don't put shit out anywhere. I'm like, okay, thank you. Now lie about something that I said, and then I use it as proof.
Only when I'm giving you.
Yeah, the only time I have to use anything is when.
Only time you use something is when I give it to you.
When people fucking lie.
Anybody.
You lie about me. Take it down.
Anyway, the whole thing comes back to this too, you guys. Again, 7 years ago today, right?
What law school did you go to? What law school did
Danny? Ask Danny.
Danny, what law school did Mitch Westerman go to?
But again, can we talk about say their name? Say their names is Abby and Libby.
Yeah.
7 years ago today, they passed away. These are girls who would be 20 right now, turning 20 this year. I mean, it's that's the travesty here, and the travesty is that here we are talking about Mitch and Robert, which we should talk about, okay? But again, where is the justice for these two girls? And
well,
fuck you, Nick.
Well,
sorry.
The people that are supposed to go out there and get the justice is the prosecution, and what I see happening is that they think that justice is a completely different narrative and hiding and covering for law enforcement. They're not covering for Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall. People need to stop thinking that. That's not what anybody's covering here. Okay.
Hey, it's complex.
It's a complex case. And I think the reason that Patrick Westfall went over and did that interview out on someone's YouTube channel, he knows that he's that motherfucking protected. I am telling you.
If you're gonna pray to Odin, you'd be really protected.
Also, is there any way that they?
Someone might take me seriously because my dog's name is Odin.
Is there any way that they used and acted like they were Odinites, but really they were big old fucking perv pedos?
I don't know about that, but I mean, geez, they got the whole Odinism thing completely backwards. Whoever killed these girls.
I mean, why would you ever? I mean, did you guys ever see that dude's face? Brad Holder is a fucking idiot. He's just out there, like, literally, like, showing paintings of the crime scene. I don't believe in coincidences. It's not a coincidence. That's a fucking
Confession?
These are my confessions.
I knew it.
No, it wasn't confession. It was just like,
I had a confessional today.
no, it's more. These people are just fucking dumb. He's dumb. Okay, so then my question is then, well, why not just, if those two really truly did it versus just maybe possibly like being there, why not just arrest those two? Like, why cover for them? Who the fuck are they? What could they even possibly take down? Who would ever fucking believe them? You know? No, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's.
What if they're the big gods, or one of them's a big god who would take the other one down, like in their little tribal, whatever they do out there, freaking Delphi? I don't know. Listen, it's a weird place. When it first happened there, Delphi did not call in Lafayette for 2 days. They didn't call the FBI for 2 days. They had people searching around these woods for these girls who were pissing everywhere because they're out there in the woods just putting their DNA everywhere. There was no protocol. They didn't know how to search. Everything was fucked from the start. Everybody knows it. Lafayette knows it. The FBI knows it.
Danny says, no idea about law school yet, but he hosted a party for Baldwin's office. He hosted a party in Franklin, Indiana in 2018. It's interesting. How did it get picked that Baldwin and Rossi got picked for this case?
I don't know how that works in Indiana. But someone shit their pants when they did. Because they're like freaking amazing. And I'm so confused by people who think they're like, that talk crap about what they're doing.
But I also think that they have a factually innocent man. So I don't think this is somebody that he was involved on any type of a level. He was part of it. So they went with him. No. And I think that's what made it possible for them to be able to do what they've done. That they truly have on every level a factually innocent man. But and they literally thought that it was buried. You know who also helped bury it? I hate to say this, but if you go back and listen to that Anna Williams interview, I don't care what anybody says.
No, it was totally buried. That's what I was telling you. I said, can you listen? After the Franks came out, I sent you that link. I said, listen to this now. Listen to this now. Okay? And nobody wants to say this about the family members because they've been through a lot. But I could freaking believe, after we read the Franks, listening to that interview again blew my mind.
It was like Anna was defending.
And then I got a hold of my people and said, hello. And they were like, duh, Bella, duh. And I was like, oh my God.
Well,
hopefully one day soon. I don't know how that's ever going to work. My source will be leaked and everyone will be like gobsmacked. But until then, some things need to be kept hush because it involved so many people have been killed. You guys have no idea. You might have an idea, actually, people that follow this case. This is not a joke. Like the people that are attached to this case that have been killed or have bounties on their head at this current time is insane.
There's bounties on people's heads, you think?
Excuse me?
I know.
Yes. So, it is
So who's the bounty hunter and the killer?
What do you mean? Just put a bounty and
then someone just comes up to you and they just say,
I have no clue. I don't do bounties. Like, I have no idea how that works. But
is it because, hey, this person owes me money? Like,
okay.
Is that why?
No, it's because, hey,
Oh.
this person might freaking be able to prosecute me. This person's going to be the most amazing witness against what I have done. And I have done some fucked up shit. And that's probably the second time I've ever cussed on a live pod. But I'm serious. So some things are just better left, you know.
So do you think that Abby and Libby are at the wrong place at the wrong time then, as far as like,
I don't know about that.
stumbling upon this?
No, I don't know about that. I think there's definitely, in my opinion only, I think there's definitely a correlation between telling Anthony Schatz what they were about to do. I think there's a correlation there, and I think that might be an interesting angle. And if the defense isn't taking that, then okay. I mean, it's not their burden, so I don't know. But I don't know. No, I do not believe it was just some random, they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Absolutely. This crime is so staged and so precise. And if you believe it's a ritual, you have to believe that there's purpose and reason for what they picked. And to me, reading the Franks, it is thought out. Like,
so do you believe in the whole race traitor thing?
I don't know if I believe it. I don't think it's not, I don't care. Like, not that I don't care, but I'm not going down like if it's because of race traitors. No, I don't see it that way. I see it more as like, as more of a sacrifice, that these people actually believed in the old ways of the Vikings, which is they would sacrifice people, humans. They would sacrifice humans, but the humans were volunteers. Okay, so like the human would be like, I want to be sacrificed to Odin, okay, or and they would volunteer for it. They wouldn't just pluck somebody, and this is like barbaric times,
especially like little girls.
Well, here this person is obviously sick. Okay. They're very close to Kokomo, which is a big pedo ring, like the biggest our country has seen. And there is something going on with that, okay? I don't know what's going on over there. But Allen County.
Yeah, Allen County.
Carroll County have a big issue on their hands, and probably a whole bunch of other counties in Indiana. And no, I think this is very thought out and very planned, even if the people that did it are the biggest idiots. This meant a lot to whoever or whoever's plural.
You always thought this was a snuff film.
And I believe it is. I'm sorry, I believe it is. I don't believe that that's the purpose, but I believe a snuff was made. I still believe that. And you want to talk about DNA? Okay. Yeah, I believe 100%. A snuff was made. Believe that 100%. Still to this day, and that's my opinion. I've said that from the beginning, though.
Thanks, Shay.
It's sick, but again, 7 years ago today.
So do you believe that both girls were supposed to be going there? Do you think that they thought that both girls would be there versus just the one?
Yeah, I think the plan, what I see is what
because we don't have any information yet on what who Libby was all texting that day.
What I see in what I see from the Franks, what I see, what they're depicting, okay, from what they're painting in the Franks of the crime scene, is a thing of good and evil. So you need two people for that. You need a good and you need an evil. That's my opinion, okay? Not saying that I've read that anywhere. This is what I see. So yes, I believe 100% they always intended there to be 2 victims. Always. And I don't think it's a wrong place at wrong time at all. And I don't know if the person who was conversing with the girl said, bring your friend. I have some, I'm going to bring my friend. It'll be like a double date. I don't know. But in my opinion, it was always supposed to be.
Well, now
2.
knowing that if we think it was, I'm going with Rossi and Baldwin here. Like they're putting the names out there. If it's those 2 and whoever they're with, right? Okay. If Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder want to start rolling on some people and they start talking about other people that would have been there, right? Okay. That the connection there is that the son got them to come out there through, because Libby was actually friends with the Logan on Facebook. So if you Facebook messaged each other and said, because Abby didn't have a phone. Okay. But to come out there. But see, the other thing is that they weren't planning on going there if we believe that story. If we believe that last minute,
but
Kelsey,
why?
what?
That Kelsey was like, I'll drive you fine.
Yeah. If you believe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if it was, so it was, when you want to talk about, okay, it was planned. How can it be something that could be so planned to the point?
Because if it didn't happen, let's say it didn't happen on this day and you couldn't get them to come out on this day, you would eventually be able to get them to come out on one of these days, like coming up. And whenever that day happened, you'd be ready to go. Because this is what you're trying, in my opinion, to accomplish.
Like right for me right now, the only person that is saving it for me that this could have possibly been like the night before and like a hangover type thing or hanger is because of Liberty's mom saying that she talked to her and FaceTime with her that morning, or like talked to her on the phone and said, I wonder, did they FaceTime or they just talk?
Didn't she say like we always FaceTimed each other?
Because
daily. I thought it was a FaceTime, if I remember correctly.
Because I'm curious on that, because that's putting her, alive, which doesn't mean that she couldn't have been somewhere else and doing that, not necessarily at her home. You get what I'm trying to say? Like if they were out and they spent the night but that her mom saying,
I just don't think it was one person that did this, in my opinion. I don't think, and I don't know how anyone could believe that dressing or redressing anybody when they're dead in that clean of a fashion could happen with one person. I mean, unless you're like incredibly strong and fit. You have to be very strong and fit for it to be one. But I don't believe it was one person.
Fuck no, it's not one person. I don't believe for a second it was one person.
So how are they going to sell this to a jury? That this little...
They never thought that somebody would go through and do what they did.
And
they would... Well, wait, when I say how are you going to sell it to a jury, everybody wants to go out there and fucking hang Richard Allen by his toes. Okay? Until you break it down.
But when you show
everything.
the jury the crime scene and you talk about the injuries and you talk about the autopsy, how are you going to sell that to a jury that this was a man of Richard Allen's stature by himself? Okay, let's say Richard Allen did it, but he wasn't alone. How are you going to sell this is a lone wolf, like Carter says, right?
I think they're going to have to arrest somebody else.
They're not doing that, though. They're going forward with Richard Allen as a lone assailant.
I don't know. I think they're going to arrest somebody else.
Okay.
And that's why I think it was so imperative that they were trying to show that Richard Allen has no ties to Brad Holder or to Patrick Westfall. Like, there's nothing. Like, I think that they're going to have to.
Well, I think
You're
that'd
not
be
getting.
very-
I don't believe that Richard Allen's going to be. I think he's going to be acquitted. If not,
I think that's really interesting if they ever do something like that and Nick goes and charges somebody else, because that will tell me that it's all just staged about what public perception is.
they're right now trying to look at anybody that knows fucking Richard Allen.
Listen, the
Trying to figure out who
truth,
to interact with him.
but the truth doesn't matter. The truth doesn't change because of public perception. The truth is always the same. It's the truth. It's the truth. So if you're going to go out and then go charge somebody after you're like lone assailant, lone wolf,
Okay, you know who made me disgusted?
Then you're wrong. You're wrong.
Was evil Mike King. Did you see his video like a week ago?
No.
Talking about how Richard Allen is guilty and this is his 8 reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, this is disgusting.
What were the reasons?
I mean, you want me to show it to you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's fucking. I couldn't even believe what I was watching.
I don't want to see.
I said,
it
"What
on
the?"
Here.
He was on what do you call it? I was like, "What the fuck?" How anybody's speaking about this case and saying that man is guilty? Y'all need Jesus.
Well, I don't understand someone saying he's guilty if they don't.
He
know
was
the
talking
case.
about the freaking gun and the bullet, and that
Oh.
that how good of ballistics are, blah blah, and that's really strong. And then he says that he was there and he had the clothes and.
I mean, the ballistics are strong, but we're talking about an unspent round, okay? Which probably a few years ago would be junk science to look at the markings
It is still junk science.
on an unspent round.
That's what even Rotor said.
I mean, yeah, so it's very difficult to say that's really good. And as far as outfits go, did we hear about a Carhartt jacket? I do not see a logo.
I'm just wondering if these people read the Frank's motion like we did, because I swear my comprehension skills are pretty fucking point. How can I read something like that and these professionals and experts in their field read something like that and they come back and they think that it's just not a big fucking deal?
I don't know.
What the fuck? How do you delete videos and not think it's a big deal?
I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer for this, but like, I don't think they're going to come out and talk about deleting videos and how that's a big deal or isn't. You just have to not know the case if you're going to think that any of this is okay.
Oh no, Mike King was arguing that it's, I just couldn't even. I think I should play a little bit of
I
it.
think you need to read things when you put them up because I can't see them.
Oh.
But whatever, it's fine. No, I don't think you should play it at all. I think we should.
Danielle says people aren't as passionate as you. They don't care. It's sad as well. But I think if you're going to be talking about it and you're a professional in it, like, I would just like to be the person on the opposite end and just be like, can I ask you some questions? How do you account for this? Because he was saying this. He's like, when you just have one or this one or that one, when you have the totality of all of this, and he was talking about the eyewitness giving the description. I'm like, wait a second, no, but the eyewitnesses are saying that that's not what they said.
Yeah, the eyewitness doesn't match up, but okay.
And so that's what he was saying. He's like, but the totality of this, when you put it all together, it's really powerful.
Well, listen, okay, he's doing his podcast and he has to stick by what he's doing.
It wasn't a podcast. It was,
whatever.
He was on News Nation or some shit. I don't know. I have those questions. I want to be able to see it your way. I want to see how you truly aren't like. That's like me being a commentator for a basketball game, and somebody goes 2 for 10 from the free throw line, and I'm over here like, oh man, look at their form, look at how great that is. Yep, that. Oh, they're still like the best free throw shooter ever. Yeah, but they had a shitty. They cost their team the game. Like they went 2 for 10. Oh yeah, no, but like you're just making excuses. Or oh yeah, but how about this? Or what about that? No, I want to talk about them shooting at the free throw line. They lost the game by 1, and they went 2 for 10. That's what I want to talk about.
I don't even know what 2 for 10.
But
means.
I'm just trying to explain it in terms of like that's how an analyst would analyze that game. By those are the facts.
Oh, it's gonna be Valentine's Day.
So this is the facts.
Oh my God, it's Valentine's Day.
And y'all just want to like, woo, like it's not even happening. Like nothing to see here. It's like, It's just sad.
Mm.
It's sad because by arresting and accusing and convicting Richard Allen, that doesn't get you justice if that's not the truth. In fact, that means it's going to fucking happen again. Right? You do things until you get. I'm going to do something until someone tells me that I can't do it anymore.
Well, listen.
Because I don't think it's wrong, right?
If I'm the family, I'm going to want you to make sure you have the right person. And the only people who are served are the people, that are out here having to deal with the mess ups if law enforcement fucks up. I can't be on my arm cut. I can't.
We're gonna wrap it up. What I'll do though is I'll play this end of this my video.
What are you gonna play?
To close it out. There you go.
Logan is connected to the murders.
Basically, we're trying to either clear him or
bye, guys.
look at him even harder. That's what we're trying to do.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Abby Williams and Libby German
And
were found
please
murdered
keep them
on
in your
Logan's
prisons.
property.
That's what it's
Days
about.
later, he walked us to the
Literally
secluded
7
crime
years
scene,
ago, you guys.
appearing shaken by what occurred here.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's so mind-boggling.
Later, when someone used social media claiming Logan resembles investigators' prime suspect, the 77-year-old was understandably angry.
I was cleared by the authorities ages ago.
Since then, investigators received new leads and found new information, prompting the search and putting new attention on Logan.
As we've gone into the investigation and have talked to other people, things are just not adding up, and we're just trying to get things added up.
Police arrested Logan earlier this week on a probation violation. He has numerous drunk driving convictions. He's being held without bond. Investigators searched with the help of a canine. They carried away armloads of potential evidence and seized Logan's truck. Police, though, warned against rushing to any conclusions.
This is part of the investigation. This is not our first
Thank you
search
guys.
warrant.
Happy
We've
Valentine's
done
Day.
several others.
Congratulations, new mom.
We've done some polygraphs. We've done all kinds of things to other people.
In citing reasons for the search warrant,
Love
the
you
FBI
guys.
agent
You've
noted
been
that pieces
amazing.
of clothing from one of the victims were missing and that it appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. There were no visible signs of a
32 to
struggle
63
or
miles
fight.
per hour.
Investigators recovered fibers
welcome to
and
Wrenchville.
unidentified hairs at the crime scene. The agent also suspected a souvenir had been taken by the killer and that it was common for perpetrators to memorialize the crime
welcome
scene
to
with pictures.
Wrenchville.
It's not clear if anything was
Congratulations,
found
you
in
guys.
Logan's home,
As
but
well
he
as
was never
the
arrested
others.
before he died in 2020.
On July 17th of 2017, police released their first sketch of the suspect. They had received thousands of tips and were working through them. But as the months passed and years passed, this case went quiet. That was until April 2019. That's when a new sketch of the suspect was released.
Oh my God,
An
my
additional
eyes.
audio of
Yeah.
the suspected killer from Libby's
Good to see a lot of blue, you guys,
Again,
in chat.
tips came
Good to see
flooding
you,
in.
Kings.
The families of the girls and that community in Delphi were hopeful it would finally lead to a break in the case. But again, days turned to weeks, weeks to months, and months into years with no arrest and sadly no answers.
Then, nearly 5 years after the murders on December 6th of 2021, police asked who had communicated with the social media account of the name Anthony Schatz. A flurry of activity took place then. The images in the accounts were those of a male model. The account itself belonged to a man from Miami County. He lived just over 30 minutes from Delphi. Police said Keegan Klein admitted to creating the account to solicit nude images from underage girls.
Tell me about Anthony Schatz. Why did you create that profile?
I don't really know.
Oh,
man.
Lonely.
Look at that sexy motherfucker.
Just talking to people. I don't know why I did it.
But Klein said he was not trying to meet any of those girls in real life. Klein also said that police told him his Anthony Schatz account was the last to communicate with German before her murder. Turns out, police had served a search warrant on Klein's home in 2017, just days after the girls' bodies were found. It was for a child exploitation and child pornography case.
And so are you aware whether you may have talked to Libby on the 13th?
That's what they said. That's what the police told me.
That you did?
Yeah.
And do you have any recollection of that?
No, not at all.
Have
I've told them 100 times I've done everything they wanted me to, and it's like they're just harassing me.
Klein was charged August 29th, 2020 with 30 counts, including child exploitation,
I don't even know if he knows
possession
how
of
to
child
add.
pornography, and obstruction of justice. He allegedly told investigators he would talk to girls using the Anthony Shots account, even if they were under 16. He claimed to have received photos from all of the girls he chatted with. Investigators seized 6 devices from Klein, including smartphones, a tablet, and an iPod Touch. Police found sexual images of girls. Some appeared to be only 14 years old. And after being interviewed by police, Klein returned home. He later told police he found another phone and turned it over to them. Police said an examination showed someone had uninstalled and deleted Snapchat, Instagram, and Meet Me. The browser's search history had also been deleted before the phone was turned into authorities. After several continuances, his jury trial was set for September of 2022 in the child pornography case. Klein has not been charged in the Delphi murders. He has not even been named a suspect. And so the families of Libby German and Abby Williams wait for answers.
5 years. That's 1,825 days that have passed since the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found in the woods near Delphi.
They probably had you.
That's 43,800 hours. The people who loved them have had to wonder who the man is in this video. The man investigators say killed the girls and where he's at now.
I don't think anybody thought we'd be here at the spot at the 5-year mark with an unsolved case.
But that's where they are, despite thousands of tips, along with video and audio of the killer. Libby captured on her cell phone as the girls hiked on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Not to mention 2 different sketches released 2 years apart.
I think what we'll be able to do is put the face of the murderer up in between those 2 sketches, and we'll be able to merge them together and become one.
Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter says he personally gets 25 to 30 tips a week that he forwards to investigators. Carter can't give a definitive timeline as to when the girls' families or the public will have answers or the justice they want.
What's important to me on the 5-year anniversary is that people know that we're continuing to full speed ahead.
It's frustrating. We all thought we would have answers 5 years ago, but we also know that law enforcement is doing absolutely everything they can and putting all of their time and effort into the case, and they want answers just as much as we do.
Both families have a mantra they've said since the beginning.
And today's the day.
5 years later, those words don't always come out as easily as they used to.
I mean, some days it's really hard, but yeah, we still keep positive that today could be the day and tomorrow could be the day and any day. We just have to keep being hopeful on that and have faith that it will be one day.
I know my grandparents say it every day, but for me, it's something that I say to reassure myself when I'm feeling frustrated, when I'm feeling like no answers are coming, and I'm feeling defeated. I say that. I say today is the day, it's coming. It'll get here.
The question remains, when?
The community continues to rally in memory of the girls. A ballpark was built and dedicated in their names. Benefit rides are held to remember the girls and help with the upkeep of the park. And tips continue to come into police, each one investigated.